Hello everyone, and welcome back. I'm glad you're here, because today, I have a story that's both personal and painful. My name is Vincent, and if there's one thing I've always stood by, it's this: love doesn't survive without trust. Without that foundation, it's just a beautiful illusion. Unfortunately, that's exactly what my relationship turned out to be: an illusion. I was engaged to a woman named Casey. We had been together for years, carefully building a life brick by brick. But all of it came crashing down the night I discovered she'd been secretly seeing someone else. She was still going on dates with another man. That moment shattered me. And what happened that night changed everything. Let me take you back and explain how it all unfolded. I met Casey at a housewarming party thrown by a mutual friend. Our first conversation was light and casual, just small talk really. But somehow, we ended up chatting for hours. After that, we kept in touch. At first, it was all very relaxed, coffee here and there, grabbing lunch when our schedules aligned. Nothing serious. But over time, those simple hangouts became more intentional. Dinner dates replaced coffee runs, weekends started to blend into each other, late-night conversations became our norm, and before long, we were officially a couple. Our relationship developed at a steady pace. We didn't force anything, but we weren't stagnant either. Over the course of 3 years, we created something that felt meaningful. By our second year together, Casey had started spending nearly every weekend at my place, from Friday night until Sunday evening. It became routine, comfortable. She never officially moved in, and honestly, that worked fine for both of us. My place gave us enough space to enjoy each other's company, and we didn't feel any pressure to live together full-time. Her apartment was much smaller, and though I'd occasionally visit, moving in there just didn't make sense. One of the things I admired most about Casey was how transparent she seemed to be. Right from the start, she'd talk openly about her past, old relationships, past mistakes, difficult family moments. She never held back. I especially remember how she often mentioned a childhood friend, someone she referred to as being like a brother. She made it clear they'd never had any romantic involvement. I took her at her word. She was upfront about everything else, so I had no reason to question her. I trusted her completely. Eventually, we got engaged. She said yes. We began dreaming about our future, wedding plans, honeymoon ideas, which cities we might want to settle down in. I was all in, emotionally and financially. I saved money, mapped out goals, and worked hard to build a future I believed we both wanted. Everything felt right. But as I later learned, even the most perfect picture can hide cracks. One Friday night, Casey arrived at my place with her usual weekend bag. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary, just the comfort of familiarity. Over dinner, she casually mentioned she'd have to leave the next day to go visit her parents, said it was just some family stuff. I nodded, told her it was fine. She rarely went into detail about her family, and I respected that boundary. I've never been the kind to pry when someone doesn't want to open up, and she'd never given me any reason to question her honesty. After we finished eating, we moved to the living room to watch a movie we'd been wanting to see all week. About halfway through, she rested her head on my shoulder and fell asleep, something she often did when she was tired. I let her sleep, wrapped my arm around her gently, and watched the rest of the film alone. But something kept distracting me. Her phone. It lit up again and again, quietly. No sound, just glowing notifications on the screen. At first, I dismissed it. Probably friends in a group chat, I told myself. When the credits finally rolled, I leaned forward, planning to softly wake her so we could go to bed. But then I noticed her phone again. It was instinct, really. I picked it up without thinking. And what I saw on the lock screen was something I never expected. The previews on her phone weren't the kind you'd expect from someone texting a so-called brother. The tone, the language, it was anything but platonic. Casey and I had exchanged passwords early in our relationship. It was a mutual agreement, a sign of transparency, of trust. So, without thinking twice, I entered her passcode and unlocked her phone. What I saw next left me hollow. The messages between her and this childhood friend weren't casual. They weren't the kind of check-ins you send someone you grew up with. They were charged with flirtation, teasing words, affectionate emojis, references only the two of them seemed to understand. And Weiss, they included plans. One message from him stood out like a wound. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow." Her reply, Just a heart emoji, followed by, told him I'm going to my parents. We're all set. She had sent that just a few hours earlier, probably while we were sitting down to dinner. I didn't wake her. I couldn't. I just sat there, unmoving, staring at the phone, then at her. She was fast asleep beside me, completely at ease. My thoughts churned violently beneath the surface, but I couldn't feel a thing. It was like something inside me had shut off. I kept asking myself the same question on a loop. Was I never enough? Why lie to my face just to slip away for a secret weekend with someone else? I watched her sleep and wondered when everything had started unraveling. When had the truth begun to slip through the cracks? And how had I missed it? The next morning, she stirred beside me. For a moment, it all looked normal again. She leaned in, kissed my cheek, stretched like she always did, and slipped into her usual routine. She went to brush her teeth, came back into the room, and casually began tossing a few things into her overnight bag. As she moved around the apartment, she chatted away like nothing was wrong. She said she'd miss me. She said she wished the weekend was longer. That next time, she'd try to leave work earlier so we could have more time together. I listened, but barely responded. Every word felt rehearsed, like lines she'd delivered before. Maybe she had. Maybe she'd practiced them until they sounded convincing. I stayed silent. I wanted to see how long she'd keep playing the part. Eventually, she slowed. Her eyes scanned my face, searching for something. Maybe she noticed the quiet. Maybe I wasn't wearing the expression she expected. She tilted her head. "Are you okay?" she asked. I shrugged. Gave her the same empty line I always used when I didn't feel like explaining myself. "It's nothing." She laughed lightly, completely unaware of how far things had already shifted. "Oh," she said, teasingly, "you're already missing me, hey?" She nudged my arm like it would break the tension. I forced a weak smile in return. And in that moment, with her laughter still hanging in the air, I realized how crushing silence can be, especially when it's carrying something too heavy to say out loud. She grabbed her bag and made her way to the door. I followed, just like I always did. It had become our quiet routine. I'd walk her out, hold the door open, and she'd usually give me one last smile or kiss before leaving. But this time, as I held the door for her and she stepped just outside, I didn't say any of the usual things. No drive safe. No text me when you get there. Instead, I looked her in the eye and said, "Good luck on your date." Everything in her face shifted. It was like she couldn't decide which emotion to land on. Shock, confusion, guilt. They all flickered through in an instant. She stammered, her voice catching. "Wait, what? What are you talking about?" But I didn't give her the chance to spin anything. I raised my hand slightly, signaling her to stop. "Don't," I said, calm but firm. Then I shut the door. As soon as it clicked shut, the weight hit me, but the silence didn't last. Almost immediately, there was a loud, frantic knock. Then another. Then more, each one heavier than the last. I could hear the panic in her voice through the door. She was crying now, pleading. "Please, just let me explain." It didn't mean anything. "I'm not going anymore, I swear." "I'll cut him off. Anyone you want, I will. Please, just open the door." My phone buzzed. Then again, over and over, like it wouldn't stop. I didn't need to check to know who it was. But I looked anyway. Message after message. "Please open the door. Let me talk to you. I didn't mean to hurt you." It wasn't serious. But none of it added up. If it wasn't serious, then why lie? Why cover it up with some story about visiting her parents? Why make weekend plans with another man at all? I felt frozen. My heart, my mind, everything was stuck. I kept asking myself, was any of it ever real? Did she love me the way I loved her? Or was I just the guy who showed up when she needed something stable? Was I a future? Or just her fallback? Had he always been waiting in the wings? And had she ever truly let him go? Or was I simply the one who was safe enough to say yes to? I didn't open the door. Didn't say a single word. Didn't type one back. Hours passed. She knocked until her knuckles probably ached, cried until her voice cracked, and sent message after message, clinging to the hope I'd respond. But I didn't. Eventually, she gave up and left. But it wasn't over. Not even close. Days turned into weeks, and still, Every morning brought new messages from her. At first, I expected her to back off, to disappear into silence. But she didn't. She just got more relentless. The texts weren't elaborate or emotional monologues. They were raw, desperate, unfiltered. Sometimes it was, "Please just talk to me. I didn't mean to hurt you. I miss you." And one night, close to 2 a.m., she wrote, "I know I don't deserve a second chance, but I'll keep asking until you tell me to stop." I didn't block her. I didn't even open most of the messages. Just watched the previews flash across my screen and put the phone down again. The urge to respond was always there, quietly gnawing. Of course it was. I loved her once, but every time I got close to replying, I remembered how she looked me in the eye and lied. How she planned an entire weekend with someone else while sitting across the dinner table from me. And I couldn't do it. Then one Saturday, I heard a knock at the door. I froze. Stayed seated, silent. I already knew it was her. She didn't leave. She stood there in the hallway, waiting. After a minute or two, she knocked again, louder this time. Then her voice came through the wood. "Vincent, please. I'm not here to fight. I just need to talk." Still, I didn't move. Part of me hoped she'd take the hint and go. But she didn't. She stood there for what felt like forever. Then I heard her voice break. "You were right. I screwed up. But please, at least let me explain." So I opened the door. She looked like a mess. Makeup streaked, eyes swollen. And yet, she still tried to smile. I didn't return it. I just nodded once and said, "Talk." She went on for a while. Said she was confused, that it was never about love. That part of her past came back, and she didn't know how to process it. She admitted to lying. Said she never expected me to find out, and that's why she felt safe sneaking behind my back. She kept repeating, "It didn't mean anything." But that didn't make it better. If it meant nothing, why lie at all? Why plan and cover your tracks? The moment you have to lie to protect something, that something already means more than you want to admit. I let her speak without cutting in. Every word, every excuse, I let it all spill out. Then I asked the only thing that mattered to me. "If I hadn't checked your phone, would you have told me?" She froze. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. Then she looked down, hand shaking. No words. Not even a whisper. And in that silence, I found the real answer. If I hadn't looked, she would have come home, kissed me like nothing happened, and kept planning our wedding like her little secret wasn't rotting beneath the surface. I took a step back. She looked up, eyes wide, hopeful, like maybe I'd say it was okay, that we could fix it. But I didn't. I said, "Then this whole engagement was built on dishonesty, and I can't build a marriage on that." She tried to speak again, but I raised a hand gently, not to stop her out of anger, just out of finality. "Please don't text me anymore," I said. "Don't come here again. Let this be the last time." Then I turned, walked inside, and locked the door behind me. She stood there for a moment. I could feel her presence linger. Then, finally, she left. They say trust is the foundation of love. I never thought I'd be the one standing in the rubble, trying to understand how it all fell apart. But when the person you love proves they can hide things from you, the damage doesn't stop at trust. It chips away at the love itself. You begin to question everything. Every memory, every smile, every quiet moment you once thought was real. You wonder how many lies were wrapped in laughter. How many secrets were dressed up as honesty. Betrayal doesn't always come crashing through the front door. Sometimes, it tiptoes in, stays a while, and eats your peace from the inside out. I won't pretend like I have it all figured out now. I don't. I still go back sometimes, replaying moments in my head, asking myself if I missed a sign. But I do know this. I deserve truth. And if love can't come with that, then it isn't love I want. So let me ask you, what would you have done in my place? Did I handle it right? Or was there a better way? Drop your thoughts below. Because maybe someone else is standing at that same kind of door right now, unsure of what to do next. And your words might be exactly what they need to hear.